Head N, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Vikram Nair. You can take the first cut.
Chairman, I beg to move that the total sum to be allocated for Head N of the estimates be reduced by $100. I still recall vividly the images of the fall of the Berlin Wall as a child. This was the physical manifestation of the Iron Curtain, and its fall marked the end of the Cold War. Historians at the time, like Francis Fukuyama, described this as the end of history, the end of mankind's ideological struggle between competing ideologies, and the triumph of liberal democracy. The subsequent period in the 1990s saw a de facto unipolar world with the Soviet Union in crisis and the US as the sole superpower. Singapore had always been a historic and strong ally of the US in this region, and this marked the way for development of a different kind. The whole world could come together and look for mutually beneficial economic collaborations. Economic growth through multilateralism prospered during this period. Now, this also paved the way for Singapore to engage China more deeply, and China-Singapore relations officially started in 1990. And this was at a time when many other developed countries had imposed sanctions on China following the Tiananmen Square incident in 1989. Singapore had always tried to play a constructive role in international relations, and I understand from the start of international relations in 1990 has been a quiet spokesperson championing China's integration into the world economy. Now, Deng Xiaoping and his team continued economic liberalization through the 1990s, and China grew steadily. Given China's base of more than 1 billion people, the effect of economic growth has been phenomenal. China has steadily moved up the ladder in economic size and has since become the world's second largest economy, overtaking Japan in 2011. Now, along with its economic growth, Chinese influence around the world has also grown steadily. China has become a major trading partner for most countries, including the US, and a big investor in many regional countries, including in many parts of ASEAN. Most of this influence has been positive and mutually beneficial for all countries involved. However, there will always be an element of displacement when a new power rises, and unfortunately relations between China and the US have taken a more adversarial tone. The US has accused China of trading unfairly and has imposed tariffs on Chinese imports. China has retaliated, and it appears a trade war is developing between these two economic giants, the two largest economies in the world. This is worrying because it runs counter to all the hard work that has been achieved over the decades since GATT and subsequently the World Trade Organization removed trade barriers and facilitated world trade. Singapore, too, has been caught in the middle, with some of the US tariffs affecting Singapore's goods unintentionally. Current trade tensions between the US and China are worrying. While reports from recent negotiations between both sides appear positive, prolonged tensions could have a severe impact on the global and regional economy. These tensions are also spilling out into other areas, such as technology. Now, Singapore has had strong relations with both the US and China. What is the outlook for US-China relations? I'll be grateful if the Ministry can also share how Singapore manages relationships with both countries and how we can better position ourselves amidst these tensions. Now, another manifestation of these tensions is in the South China Sea, where China has had competing claims to the number of ASEAN allies and has taken on an increasingly assertive stance. The US, of course, like many other maritime countries with an interest in these straits, has asserted its right of free passage over these waters. Of course, Singapore hopes the dispute will be resolved in accordance with international law, but that requires all parties involved to willingly submit the matter for determination in the event of a dispute. Now, there have been news reports of China's military activities in the South China Sea, while the US and its allies have conducted freedom of navigation operations in the region. ASEAN is currently negotiating a code of conduct in the South China Sea. Singapore has been a champion of this. I will be grateful if the MFA can provide an update on these negotiations, as well as the outlook for the situation in the South China Sea.